the film is successful. John has done this extraordinary job of leadership on the creative side. And now we've gone public, so there's a lot to do.
Right.
But there were two big questions. The first one was, having worked on a goal for 20-some years and having achieved it, I was now left without one.
Right.
Right. And so it took me a year to figure out what the new goal should be. But the other one, and this is the more subtle one, and I don't even know if I wrote this one down,
Right.
but it was, at this time, I asked the question of myself, how much of this was me? Because I knew that I had started down this, and I knew that John and Steve were critical people, and they're people you don't know about. Some of you do, like Andrew Stanton and Pete Docter, and they're people you haven't heard of, like Bill Reeves and Evan Osby, and they were all part of making this happen. So there's no delusion about their role with it,
Right.
but I still had the question, how much of it was me?
Right.
So during this year, I had this question too. And at the end of the year, I realized that that question is a meaningless question, and it takes you down the wrong path.
Mm.
And I say this because I see some people who get to this point where they have the success, they ask the question, well, they never admit it, and they come up with the wrong answer. They want to prove that they did it.
Right.
So it's, it just goes the wrong direction. But the other
Why
one
do people ask that question of themselves? Is it the newfound wealth and the success? They have a hard time reconciling it, and they need to understand why they were propelled to this level of, notoriety and success, and it just messes with your own internal sense of ego and self?
Well, the concept of the interdependence between people is a hard concept for people to get their head around.
Right.
So as an individual, you try to sort of you want to find hard lines around yourself, which don't really exist, but it feels like it does. So you want to answer that question. It happens to a lot of people. The other one is your support system around you. It can be your friends. People will have agents or spouses or something like that. Will say, well, it was all you. They didn't give you enough credit.
Right.
So you actually get a support system which says, okay, yeah, a lot of people are involved, but it was you.
Right.
And if you go down that path, you're going down the wrong direction.
It's the dark side.
It is the dark side.
Right.
All right. And I've seen it happen to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like just pure narcissism. Like if it wasn't for me, this would not have happened.
Right.
And you don't realize, my God, these products, they're so collaborative. And even the companies tend to build on each other. So, if ARPANET doesn't happen, then you don't wind up at Utah. If this crazy guy at the Institute of Technology doesn't decide to fund 40 people and put you in charge of it, it doesn't happen. If George Lucas doesn't take a flyer, it doesn't happen. There's so many people in your story along the way who took a chance on you, you took a chance on them.
Yeah, and you genuinely have to appreciate those links in the chain, including an appreciation of the fact that you can't even see a lot of the links that affected you.
Oh, right. Yeah, they may be they may be in your blind spot.
Yeah, you're right. They're in your blind spot. People are doing things that you don't see and they have affected you, and you just don't know.
Right.
And you have to say, okay, there's a certain part of the world where I really don't know, and I have to be aware that I don't know, and will probably never know some of those things, and that it's okay.
Right.
That's why it's not a useful question. The other question, though, for me was what is next? And having watched a lot of companies succeed and then fall apart,
right?
Then the realization I had was, okay, how do we keep from falling apart? It's not, can we make another film? Because we knew how to make a film.
Yeah.
It's how do we make the culture so it's sustainable? And what are the things that get in the way? What stops us?
Right. Yeah.
So going forward there, it was self-reflective. We're still making things. You're not looking at your navel all the time.
Right.
But you say, okay, why did this work? Why doesn't it work? And what are barriers? And in thinking that through and making more mistakes, we could see where fear enters in, where aversion to making mistakes comes in. How do you think about failure? How do you think about the way people are open or honest with each other?
Let me just take a quick moment to tell all the startups listening that Scott Walker is an amazing attorney. I know because a lot of my incubator companies and investments use Scott Walker, and we just had a discussion about law firms on our secret discussion group, and people were talking about how much they love working with Scott Walker and the Walker Corporate Law Firm. They're a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs and startups, and they encourage fixed fees. They believe billable hours reward inefficiency, and they just love to tell you this is what it's going to cost. How refreshing is that as an entrepreneur to not have that sticker shock, to not have that fear of opening up the PDF from your law firm and getting that ridiculous surprise that they went 3 times over. You're not going to have that happen with the Walker Corporate Law Group because they do fixed fees, and all their lawyers have a decade or 2 of experience. No junior associates who are getting on-the-job training with your startup. They do mergers and acquisitions, licensing arrangements, terms of service, privacy policies, and they just love working with startups. The founder, Scott Ed Walker, is a total mensch and just a lover of startups. I've known him for a long time. He comes to all my events, and he's indefatigable in his support of founders. You can give him a call right now, 415-979-9998. 415 is San Francisco, 979-9998, 979-9998, or email Scott at Walker Corporate Law, Scott at WalkerCorporateLaw.com, or visit WalkerCorporateLaw.com. And you can follow Scott Ed Walker on the Twitter, at Scott Ed Walker. And everybody go ahead and thank at Scott Ed Walker on Twitter if you're a super fan, because he has been, I think he's the longest running partner of the show. So thanks again to Scott Walker for representing my companies and doing a great job at it.